Good morning. Um, Here we are, Saturday. Uh, Kind of windy and a little cold. Um, I took my lemon tree out yesterday, which was possibly a mistake, although I don't think it got that cold. It's probably okay. But I hope it didn't blow over. I think it's okay. But yeah, wow, so windy and so strange on May 1st, though. Here we are in May. You'd think that it'd be a little, you know, a little warmer, but I guess it will be. I was looking at the few days after, and it warms up a bit. So I guess we're gonna have our ups and downs for a little while yet, until it settles into alarmingly hot and humid, which I keep reminding myself is coming. So we better enjoy this uh, cooler weather at least while we can. But, so that's a good thing to think about, right? Um, we have this tendency to uh, not enjoy where we are, right? We're always thinking about um, the future or the past, right? Anticipating when the weather's going to get hot, or you know, regretting that we didn't do this or do that when the weather was cooler. Um, that's just our nature, right? Our nature is to always be looking for the next thing, to have our eyes on the horizon, right? Um, or trained on the past. I mean, at different times in your life, you could be one or the other. Maybe a mix. Sometimes we get stuck in a pattern of one or the other. I mean, you can see where. Um, so two fairly common states of being, um, in terms of sort of our mental and emotional states, are anxiety or depression, right? Those are two big ones. Um, and anxiety, people with anxiety are often really trained on the future. Um, they are anticipating, and not in a good way, right? They're pretty sure that whatever's coming isn't good, and they're worried about it. People with depression are frequently very locked in the past. They can't let go of um, the things that have gone by, the mistakes maybe they've made, or the opportunities that they have given up. Um, they aren't even looking really toward the future. They're really stuck in their attachment to the past. Um, so in this way, and you can veer between those, right? But in between those two extremes is this center, and that's really where we want to be. We want to be here in the present. It doesn't mean we're not aware of the past, that things have gone by. We're also aware of the present, or the future, right? That things are changing. Um, Part of being aware of our presence in this moment is knowing that this moment is gone, and now it's gone again. And here we are again in the next moment. Um, you can't stop it. It is a never ending process. Um, all we can do is kind of enjoy the ride as we go. Um, when we are able to participate in this process, um, we thrive. When we fight this process, we have problems, right? Think about um, traveling on a river, right? Think, imagine that you have an inner tube, right? And you're floating on a river. Um, you're trying to get somewhere. And if you can just let that um, let that river take you there, you're in the current. And if you can trust and just let things unfold, um, you'll get to where you want to go. Um, if you're going to go against the current, if you're going to start paddling, um, you're probably not going to get where you want to go. You're going the wrong way, first of all, right? You're trying to go back to where you were. It's not really going to work. You're going to tire yourself out. It's exhausting, right? Paddling against the current. Um, and you might say, well, but what if I want to go back there and I don't want to go where the current's taking me? I'm sorry, you have to. That's how life is. We have to go with the next thing. We cannot stop. We cannot stay. Um, it's hard, especially if you are in a particularly good place in your life. It's hard to know that it won't last, that things are going to change. But it's also, it is the nature of things. What suited you 5 years ago is not what you like now, right? Things are a bit different. And maybe you haven't changed substantially, but you have changed to some extent. To try to fit yourself today into the same place you were 5 years ago, or 1 year ago, or whatever, um, wouldn't be appropriate. It wouldn't work. So, why do we expect everything else to be that way? We do because we do. I think it's because we don't see what's happening, right? From our perspective, things aren't changing in many ways. We forget. It's very easy to time just passes, and we aren't even aware of it. I'm constantly amazed at how how much time has passed, and I'm not even really aware. Um, I was speaking with the lady who was cleaning my teeth, and I was talking about how we moved into this house 20 years ago. Um, when we moved in, I had a lot of plans of things I wanted to do, but my youngest was just under a year, so I didn't get a lot done. I did the bare minimum, and then we just lived and survived, with three little kids and all the stuff that goes with that. Um, and it's not till now, 20 years later, that I'm thinking, oh yeah, I was going to do that. Maybe I will now. Um, it goes by so fast. And things have changed, but we don't always acknowledge it, right? We still think the same. Our heads are stuck, right? We still see things, as they were. Um, so that is a challenge, right? Good morning, Susan. That's a challenge, right? And I would challenge you to think about some of the ways that you look at situations or relationships or things in your life. Are you really seeing them for how they are? Or are you still stuck in an old, way of thinking? It can be hard, right? One of the most visible things is relationships with children, right? So as your children grow up, the way you relate to them, the way you treat them has to change. It's not the same type of relationship. People often struggle with that, but it has to be done, right? And if you think about it, that's a very visible, but every relationship that we have, every situation that we have is also changing. It may not be as drastic, And that's the problem, right? Because we don't acknowledge it. We can't see, like you see this little person growing up. It's very visual, very, you understand. Yeah, okay, I have to change this. But a relationship with a friend or a parent or um, anything, right? It's changing too. Um, you are changing. So, as with everything in yoga, we are trying to find the truth, trying to find the truth of what is there. And we can only do that if we are looking with sort of open eyes, open heart, without judgment, without um, regret or, uh, you know, anxiety or depression, right? Let go of those things, um, and just be here where we are today. Um, we've made it this far with everything. We'll keep on doing it. You don't have to have it all figured out. Um, all you have to do is have today figured out, one piece at a time, right? So you can plan ahead for the rest of the afternoon, maybe. Maybe that's enough. Um, I mean, it sounds silly, right? Because we're so used to having these grand plans and having these long term, you know, I guess, structures, right, that we've built. Um, but these are really not a great idea, right? The bigger and more rigid our plan, the more of a mess it makes when it breaks and falls apart, which it always does, right? Everything changes. So if you're going to make plans, long-term plans, make them flexible, make them very loose. Um, trust that if you're not sure where you're going, you're going to get some help along the way. You're going to get some information. And that's what I've always found is that when I feel the most unsure about things is when um, I just have to wait a little bit, right? Don't make any hard and fast decisions. Just um, put a pin in that, right? Come back to it when you have um, a little more guidance, a little more information. Um, and that takes faith, right? To have uh, to be able to live with the uncertainty, um, and I think that's maybe what we struggle with the most is the uncertainty of life and being okay with that, being at peace with um, how just random things can be, and they can be, right? I mean, we speak about the universe kind of having our back and helping us out, and it really does, but not always in the way we expect or the way we want, right? It isn't like a vending machine, right? You don't put, you know, 20 good deeds in and out comes, a golden chocolate bar for you. It's not like that. We're all just doing our part, but so is everyone else in this whole wide world, universe, everything. Um, what you want is no more valuable or important than what your neighbor wants and the neighbor across the street and across the world. We're all part of this big wheel. Um, sometimes you are on the top of the Ferris wheel and sometimes you're on the bottom. It's hard to say where you might be, somewhere in between. Um, but if it makes you feel better, we all get our turn under the wheel, right? It's just, where's it going to be for you? I don't know. But just like everything, the hard times will also change. Um, there'll be ups and downs and all arounds. Um, And our faith is what keeps us going with this, right? Our faith that we just keep taking the steps, making good decisions, right? Trying to live our yamas and niyamas um, the way that we know is um, good, right? And I don't mean good in a sense of, good and evil. Although, it is, right? The yamas and niyamas will keep you on that, will keep you on that path. But it's good for you, right? This is what I love about yoga is what is good for you is good for the world. Um, it's not, it isn't, there's no conflict there. You don't have to give up doing nice things for yourself in order to help the world. The good things you do for yourself are also good for everyone else. Um, by helping yourself feel better, you become better. You have more to give. You have more kindness. You have more compassion. Um, it's, perfect. Why wouldn't anyone want to live that way? I'm sure I don't. I think only people that don't know about yoga would want to live without yoga. I think once you know about it, if you really know about it, you can't deny that it's the right way to go. Um, I think it's just maybe a misunderstanding of what it's all about. Is what people are like. Oh my gosh, it's all about putting my leg behind my head. It's nothing. It's not. And if it were, we'd all be in trouble because maybe 0.1% of the yoga population can do that. Not too many. Okay, so let's do Samasana. Sitting tall. And we're going to breathe. That being said, let me say one more thing, right? So that 0.1% of people that put their leg behind their head, don't assume that all of those people who are practicing advanced asana are really practicing advanced yoga. Many of them aren't, right? If you see people posting like pictures of themselves on Instagram to get likes and to get followers and to sort of monetize their practice, that's, I mean, you know right there, that's not a very yogic way to look at things. The practice of real yoga, right? That yoga that keeps you centered internally, um, that's also probably less common, maybe not 0.1%. It's more people are doing that than doing the head behind the leg or the leg behind the head. But even that, right? I mean, you're going to meet people that are yoga teachers or yoga practitioners or are into yoga, and they're going to strike you as, wow, not very yoga people, not very, maybe they're selfish or gossipy or rude or something, that you can tell there's something not right there. Again, right? There's no, people can say and do anything. Beginning to practice yoga, saying that you're practicing yoga doesn't mean you are practicing yoga, right? That's a very personal thing. It's a very internal process. Um, and as a person who is on that path, you will be able to tell the difference, right? If you get a feeling from someone that they aren't real, that they aren't genuine, um, trust that feeling. They probably aren't. Um, that's another beautiful thing about the practice is we are, by getting aware with the center, we are getting in touch with our intuition, and our intuition will guide us. Um, we will get good information about people without them even really having to open their mouth. You'll get a feeling about them. And pay attention to those feelings. They are kind of your early warning system. Sometimes it's not 100% accurate, right? We can have our own biases when it comes to intuition, and that can be confusing. But the more time we spend in meditation, in communication with the center, with our spirit, the clearer we understand, and the more we can differentiate between all the voices, right, that are hanging around in here. Sit up tall and breathe. And then head down toward the chest. Relax here, shoulders relaxed. And then lift the head. Keep lifting. Back to center, take a breath, and head moves to the right. Back to center and moving left. And back. Let's walk the hands out in front. Back up. Squeeze shoulder blades together. Fingertips pointing away from the body. Gaze up. And then we're back. Arms wide. Take a breath. And then bring the hands together on the exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Once more. Inhale. And exhale. Interlace the fingers. Lift the hands. Gaze up. And then arms down by your side. Inhale, lift. And lower. Lift. And lower. Once more, lifting up. And then right hand by your side, reach across the left. Switch. Let's lift the shoulders, roll back. And roll forward. Bring soles of the feet together. Sitting up tall. Take a breath, lean forward. You might not really go that far. That's okay. Back up, both legs out in front. Take a breath, fold forward. Come on back up. Let's point and flex the feet. Rotating through the ankles. One way and the other. Let's do that little foot yoga that we did yesterday, maybe. So we're going to bring the foot up onto the leg. If you can, if that's not working for you, you can always just set the foot down. That's fine. And then we're going to, you just want to be able to reach the foot, right? So we're going to bring the thumbs right to the center of the foot, up by the ball of the foot, kind of rubbing in there. Right? And you can sort of move down the foot if you want, working on the instep. Notice any place in the foot that feels sensitive. You know, you may have some areas. Sometimes people have trouble with the instep, you know. Be aware of that, right? We do so much with our feet, but we barely take the time to look and see what's going on. What's going on in there, right? And then we're going to bring the hands up around sort of the ball of the foot and kind of work this way back and forth, just gently. Right? Your foot may not flex very much if things are very tight through the ball of the foot. And if that's what it is, then don't worry about it, right? We're just do what you can here. Foot mobility, especially if you have, you know, kind of a lifetime of wearing shoes frequently, it takes a while, right, to get that back. You can, you know, help that by wearing either, you know, no shoes or shoes with very flat soles. I would caution against flip-flops, right? People like flip-flops a lot and they think flip-flops are okay. Flip-flops cause you to do some stuff with your feet, like kind of gripping with the toes, that isn't always the best, especially if you aren't used to doing that and that's not your normal thing. Normal thing is just wearing shoes. It can be hard. So like some people are like, well, I hate flip-flops. Well, and they think that means they hate flat-soled shoes. Not necessarily. You may just have trouble with the toe gripping thing, and that's fine. It is difficult for a lot of people, right? It's not a natural type of thing. So, and then work down on the heel too while you're at it. So you can get a lot of different shoes that do stay on your foot, but they have a very flat sort of sole. There isn't a lot going on there. And, you know, it may not be something you want to wear on a long hike, but to walk around your house and to do stuff in the yard and things like that, you know, trying to do that with a softer sole shoe allows your foot to move. It allows your foot to do some things on its own instead of just being tight in its little box there, right? Okay, let's switch it around. So, you know what I mean here, right? Rubbing, again, we're working from the top down. Just kind of massaging here. Checking it out. How's your foot doing? This is a great thing to do at the end of the day. Feeling tired. Just, you know, see what's happening with your foot. How does it look? Does it look good? Does it look tired, maybe? I don't know. And then we're kind of flexing. We're going to flex that foot a little bit. Kind of back and forth. And if you haven't already, get working on the heel a little bit. I always think that feels pretty good, the heel. I think we forget about the heel. But be careful, because I mean, some people do have sensitive heels. If you have a real bony heel, you want to be gentle with it, not going too rough, obviously, with any of this, right? And then let's point and flex the feet again. And another kind of rotation. So that sort of stuff you can do with your foot, you can do anytime. You can do it sitting, you could do it watching TV. Also, the tennis ball, we talked about that. Tennis ball is a great thing. If you don't, you don't have time to sit with your foot on the lap and do all of that, just sit in a chair and put the tennis ball under your foot and roll your foot back and forth. Feels great. And it's really good for loosening things up and having getting that mobility kind of back in the muscles and things. We've talked about this before, that if we're not using things, the body sort of shuts that down, right? So if your foot isn't flexing, if it's always in a little shoe and all tight and everything, then the body's like, we don't need to do that. Let's just leave it like that, which is fine, right? As long as you have a shoe on. But the minute you take a shoe off, that foot is weak. That foot is unstable, which means when you are trying to walk from your bedroom to your bathroom or anywhere else where you're not wearing that tight shoe, you're going to feel unstable. You're going to be, not in a great place. So we want to be solid with our feet. You will appreciate it. You will find a reason to be glad for that. And then sitting up tall, let's walk the hands out. And then come on back up. I think of shoes as the corset of the feet, right? So all the years that women had to wear corsets and how it was great for your posture, kept you nice and upright, and everything was tight in there. But your core, your whole body was very weak because of it. Because again, you were relying on the support of this corset. It kept you immobile. You couldn't take a deep breath. There were a lot of physical repercussions of that kind of structure around the body for long periods of time. Shoes will do the same thing to you, right? You wear them all the time so much, your feet will actually begin to change. Their ability to do things will change. And we don't want that, right? We want the things to enhance what we can do, but not change, right? Our basic function and structure. That's no good. Let's walk the hands out a little bit. Back up, and then legs together. Take a deep breath, arms overhead, and fold. Back up, bend the knees. Lowering down. Take a few breaths. We're going to bring right ankle on top of left knee. Working your supine pigeon, however that is. You might have the left leg coming in, or if the right hip is tight, that left foot might stay on the mat, and then we're just pressing the right knee away from the body. Switch it around. And trying to do the same on both sides if that's possible. And then set both feet down. We're going to do a bridge here. Heels back close to the body. Hands are by your side. And then we're going to press down, hands and feet. Lifting up the body. And then lower down. Soles of the feet together. Knees apart. Maybe hands up over your head if you like how that feels. Bringing the knees back to center. We're going to hug them into the chest. Rock side to side. Let's do happy baby here. So we're reaching maybe for the ankles or the instep of the foot. And then releasing the feet, extend the legs. And when you feel ready, you can lower however you want to get there. And then find a place that feels comfortable for you for your Shavasana. Keep breathing. Finding that peaceful state within. Focusing on the breath. The breath keeps us in the moment. If you are ever experiencing times of anxiety or depression, um, anchor your consciousness in the breath in this moment. It doesn't allow for the future or the past, it keeps you here. So, coming back, wiggling fingers and toes, maybe stretching. You can make your way up to a seat unless you want to just stay on the mat, which is always an option. Hands together, breath in and breath out. Thank you for coming to your mat and sharing yoga with me. I hope you have a really good Saturday. Namaste. Okay. You know what time it is, right? 5-minute meditation. Come on. 5 minutes. You can do anything for 5 minutes, right? Not that meditation is so terrible, but it can be difficult some days. Some days we just don't feel like we're in the right headspace for that. But I would encourage you to do it anyway. You may surprise yourself. Some of my best meditation experiences were on days where I really didn't feel like doing it. I felt like this is just dumb. And then I realized it actually wasn't so dumb. So I'm not guaranteeing that's going to happen for you, but um, I am guaranteeing that you don't know how it's going to end when you start. So sitting quietly, peacefully, comfortably, find that peaceful place. Okay. 5 minutes. You did it. Hopefully it was good. Peaceful anyway. I will be back on Monday. Enjoy your Saturday and enjoy your Sunday. And hopefully you can get outside a little, but wear a coat.